Hey friends, Michelle here with Garden Jargon, and I am out here at the garden today setting up shade cloth. You can see behind me I have a bunch of shade cloth laid out on the ground. I actually found these on Wayfair probably about 8 months ago for super cheap. I got 2 of them right here kind of snapped together to fit over 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of tomatoes. And the reason I'm setting up shade cloth this week is because we're supposed to hit the 90s. And I can say it's July something, July 20 something, July 22, 23 today. And we've only had, I think, 2 days this season, this summer so far, that have been over 90, which is a beautiful thing. Because last year in 2022, we had a bunch of 90s, like right after we had spring. And all of the blossoms dropped off our tomatoes. All of them. Like, we didn't get fresh, ripe tomatoes until the beginning of September last year. It was horrible. So, in efforts to save our tomato blossoms this year, what I'm doing is coming out here, and you can see these 4 rows here with pool noodles over the top. I'm going to use the shade cloth and drape it over my cattle panels over there in efforts to save our tomato blossoms. It does cut down. I did 2 rows right here. It does cut down on the heat significantly. Even when I go under those shade cloths to prune my tomatoes, it is a world of a difference underneath that shade cloth. So I wanted to bring you along for the ride. So what I'm using is, obviously in our rows, I do use T-post. I think I use 16-foot cattle panels. They're 16 feet by like 50 inches tall. I hang them about 1.5 feet off of the ground. I use T-post clips on most of them when I find those T-post clips. And then I put pool noodles over the top, because the top of where the cattle panel goes to the top, it has like a pokey thing and it will snag the shade cloth. So what I do is I just throw pool noodles over there, and then I can just yank the shade cloth around where I need it to be and put it in place. I did do shade cloth back there. You can see back there, that's like the 4th section of our garden. On one end of those, I used binder clips and just kind of bunched it up and then clipped it to the shade cloth on this end. And then on the other end, I pulled it tight and rolled it up in some lumber, and then slammed some T-posts into the ground, and then connected the lumber to the shade cloth. The lumber to the T-post that has the shade cloth wrapped around it. I'll take you over there and show you that after this. But let me set up this and get you a time lapse on how I'm doing these shade cloths. This one, I believe, is 12 feet by 20 feet, and I put 2 of them together. So I made a shade cloth that's 24 feet wide by 20 feet long. So I just put them together, and I'm ready to go throw them over this section right here. So let me turn the camera on so you can see it. Okay, so I'll show you what I did. Alright, so you can see these clips it comes with, where you can pinch the fabric, the shade cloth, and it goes on either sides. And then it has like the spot where you can put a rope through it, or I just toggled it to my cattle panel, as you see. I gotta put some pool noodles up here just to protect this from getting a big old hole in it. I left the sides draped down like this because I'll put more clips on the end and put T-post out here in the walkway and drape this out because that's east. So when the sun comes up, it's gonna fry this end of the tomatoes if I don't give it some type of protection. I can put it down and just let it hang like that, but it'll give it a little more protection, especially with the squash here on this vine on that cattle panel right there. I can hold it out and it will make it like a tent, so to say, like that. This is only 20 feet long from there to here. So as you can see, I'm a little short, but I do have I think an 8 foot by 20 foot or 8 foot by 12 foot. So I'm gonna clip it to the top of the T-post here, or the cattle panel all the way down, and then drape it down to my squash T-post that I have in there. I put those down there like that because I trellis my squash up the T-post when I grow squash. And then I get to trim these up and clip them to my my cattle panel, because I haven't done that yet because I'm neglectful and very busy handling all of this. So I'm gonna put another one here, kind of like that one over there that you can see that I kind of draped out there like that. It's nice and tight and it's hanging onto the T-posts that are in our squash bed over there. So then it provides shade for all of these guys at this time of the day. And right now I want to say it's like 3:30 or 4. And then that tree right there provides a ton of shade. And it's already hitting on those tomatoes right over there. So I know I don't have to cover the other side with a tent spot like this on the other side of that tomato section over there. I also used a zip tie. You probably, oh yeah, you can see it really good right here. You just wiggle it through, but this is 2 seams and they triple up the stitching here on the ends of the shade fabric. You can see it's a little thicker here on the ends. So I just folded the 2 together and wove my zip tie through there and connected it, because I actually put a clip on here and I can't get it off without a tool. So I just put that on there. That won't rip. That's just gonna hold that nice and taut. I'll also secure this one the same way. I'll just double this up and run a zip tie through there to hang on. This won't get any sun here. You can see right here's where the shade line is from the shade cloth that I have on there right now. So they're nice and cool in there. And then this side as well, I will pull out here and make a somewhat tent, kind of like I did on this one. So that's how I'm going to protect our tomatoes. See, they're all under shade right now. A little bit from the tree, but a little bit from the shade cloth. So wish us luck. And we have 4 days that are going to be in the 90s this week, and I definitely don't want to lose my blossoms. So I'm trying my best not to do that this year. So I'll take you over to the other side when I'm finished. Okay, let me just show you how I jimmy rigged this. I didn't have enough drop on the end, so I had to add the extra tarp, which I did. So I connected it, as you see here, on the squash T-post, but the squash will still get all the sun. This acts as a shade barrier. As you see, they're totally shaded because it's kind of doubled up just by a couple feet here. So this row here is going to get a lot of shade for the next couple days. And that is underneath this shade cloth that is a little less than that. I think that might be 50 to 60 shade cloth, and this might be 20 to 30 shade cloth. I can't remember which is which. I ripped them all out of the bags and just laid them in the grass. So I just basically took this shade cloth, wrapped it over the top, and just clipped it with those clips that came with the tarp and just hung it there. And then I will pin and prune these up against the cattle panel trellis. And all those tomatoes now are underneath shade cloth. And now my last set of 3 rows. I don't know. I think these rows are 20 feet long because I had to put a cattle panel along here and then cut a cattle panel and then fix it to this. So it's 16 feet plus probably another 4 feet. So I think these beds are 20 feet long. Because I got deck wood from somebody's deck, and I think they were 24 feet long, and I could not fit them in my truck, so I had to cut them. And so that's how I know that those are 20 feet. But again, pool noodles on the top. This one obviously is Roma variety. They don't grow very tall, so I didn't put it up there. I just put the hog panel down here. And then I just put the noodle at the top and zip tied it in there so that I don't snag the shade cloth. And at the end, there's no T-post that's tall enough. And then I will strap it over the top of this. And then again, this is south, so the sun comes in this way. And I will drape this down along this roll here, probably put some T-post or literally just let it hang depending on how much hangover I have there. And I have from this here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paces. And I'm gonna go over to my tape and see how many 6 paces is, because I think that's about 18 feet. I think each one of my paces is about 3 feet. And then I'll get that shade cloth put up. I think I have one wickedly long one. This one right here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 paces. So, yeah, that's really long. I might be able to just drape that over the end. It's 2 pieces. I'm going to cut it right here. Flip it over and zip tie the seam together. Probably about 20 zip ties down the side and make it twice as wide. And then I have one exactly like that right here. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and you can watch on the time lapse. I am not affiliated with this company at all, but these are the ones that I found on Wayfair. So this is the first one that I got from Anaheim. This is their phone number. It doesn't show a website. And then this is the other one that I got. And that has a website and a phone number, and they are in California also. So one of these, I can't remember which one, came with clips, and this is what the clip looks like. Just like that. So you just put it on the edge where it's doubled up and reinforced at the ends, and then you clip it, and it pinches the fabric, and then you can use a string or just clip it to your kettle panel like I did. Just like that. And then I'm sure I need a plier to pry that open and then use them next year. Let's go try to hang this thing with one person. It's 4 panels, 6 feet wide. So it's 24 feet wide. And I think 20 feet long, 20 feet long. I keep snagging on the signs in the garden. So we're gonna try to do it. I'm gonna set up the phone because I don't have a tripod today, so wish me luck. A 10-person job done by 1 person. I love when people say, you can't do that by yourself. Watch me. I'm working on it. How did I manage that? All right, so I got enough overhang here. I'm not too worried about the sun pounding here because it's only here for a couple hours before it gets behind this tree. And then I will stick it on the wood and the T-post out like this. And I keep saying that, but I don't show you. So let me take you over here to the first bed that I did earlier this week on our very sick tomatoes. So that's a whole nother video. So see these tomatoes, how healthy they are. Beautiful leaves, organic compost in the ground here. Very happy with the tomatoes. Same with all the tomatoes over there. So these 3 beds of tomatoes, I did the same thing. Organic compost, and then, what else? Oh, at the bottom of these beds, I used somebody's manure. They brought me a pickup truckload of manure, and I put that in here, and it completely messed up my plants. Every year, I have a huge oopsie in my garden. And look at the curl on these leaves. Massive leaf curl to the point of no return. And I've been all over Facebook asking for help. And all I've heard is biochar and fertilizer, fish fertilizer, worm castings, but nobody told me how to use it. So I dug holes there, put all the amendments in there. As you see, I put some extra garden tone at the base with worm castings, and they're setting fruit, clearly setting fruit. But I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting for these leaves to open, and I pray to God that they do, because seriously, look at those tomato plants, guys. Some of these plants are taller than me, but this leaf curl is breaking my heart. And as I said, the only difference in these 3 beds is that I literally put less than a ½ inch. The manure wasn't even big enough of a pile to cover the bottoms of all 3 of these beds. So if that tells you at all how much compost or horse manure I put in here, I did not realize it was hot, and it clearly has done a number on these. And the saddest part is the 9 beds of tomatoes over there are all sauce tomatoes. All the tomatoes in these 3 beds are all my heirlooms, because I was planning on saving all of the seeds this year. As I told you, huge oops every year. But look, it's still setting flowers. They're all still setting blossoms. And I just pray to God that these leaves open up after they get watered in with some nice rain. I've protected them from the heat to pinch, just so they don't get so shocked by what we've done to them. Now back to the subject we were talking about. This right here. I just lay this wood. These are 1x1s. I roll them up a little, and I staple gun about 10 staples down there. And then I just throw a screw through that, through a T-post, and it just gives that the shade that it needs from the south end of the garden, because this is south. So that's what I keep talking about by putting T-post in the ground and kind of draping that over. So I wanted to show that to you. I'm going to do that to these beds that I just did. Hi, friend. We have 6 of these. And I just talked to them and say hello. How you doing, bunny? Little bunny, how you doing? Hi, little bunny. You want some supper? Are you having lunch in my garden? Are you having lunch? How are you? Sweet little thing. I wish you knew how you drank water. Hi. Hi, little guy. You're so cute. Hi. What are you doing? I'm checking to see how close I can get. How you doing, little bunny guy? Want to see the camera? No, your mom's gonna kick my butt. Man, when I found these things and I moved them, the one baby squealed. And man, the mama bunny came out and she gave me a look. And then she said, "You're bigger than me. I'm out." And she took off. But I shot another video. I think it was about fixing that soil over there. And as I'm talking on the camera, the bunny was coming towards me. Like, came within 2 feet of me. It completely threw me off. But that's how I'm protecting our tomatoes from the heat that's coming in the next 3 days. We're going to be in the 90s. And I'm not losing my blossoms. We have a lot of tomatoes out here. We have a lot of people in our community to feed. And therefore, they will be fed. By the grace of God, of course. So thank you so much for watching. I know this video was long, but I wanted to share with you how to protect your tomatoes during a hot spell in the summer, because I don't want to deal with what I did with last year. Like, it was awful. We lost 1 whole month of tomato production. It was terrible. The whole region was complaining about tomatoes last year. So not this year, not in Michelle's garden. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have not yet already, please subscribe to my channel. Did you know it's free? It's just free. You can do something that's free. Click a button, hit the button that says share, and share it with somebody that might think that this video is interesting, or they grow tomatoes, and then make a comment on there. It's easy. It takes like 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. And your help by subscribing and commenting and sharing and liking my videos is free, and it helps me be able to make more content like this to help you guys, because I love making mistakes so that I can make a video and tell you how to not make that same mistake. I hope you guys see you guys in the next video. Okay, I gotta go. I'm hot. Bye.